Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on the 2015 live-action film adaptation of the manga Orange. This coming just on the heels of having finished watching the anime adaptation of the same title, and I was largely curious to go and watch this live-action movie to see what exactly they did with the story, what they might have truncated or edited out and smoothed over, that kind of thing, all the little changes that might have been in it inherently because it's a movie-length version of the story, and I actually hadn't known that it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like that. They do manage to pack all of the sort of hallmarks of the story. A lot of it is basically the same. I mean, we're dealing with Kakeru, who loses his mother to suicide, and it's very much about Naho, Suwa, Takako, Azusa, and Hagita all to come together and try to give him something to live for, try to give him a reason for living and a reason to be happy. And so a lot of the story beats are pretty much the same, although for people who have largely complained about the awkwardness of the characters in the anime and the missteps that, Naho had taken as shown in the anime, I think the anime really embellishes some of those things, and I think anyone who had a problem with the character in the anime adaptation should really go and watch this live-action movie, where you see much more of the actual cultural and societal effects in the way the characters are portrayed. The actors and actresses do a real service to making their awkwardness and their reluctance to really get to know each other and express their thoughts and feelings in a much more relatable and understandable fashion than perhaps the anime put forth. And, I mean, the performances in this sucker is really one of the highlights for it, But they have everything. They have the track meet and the fireworks by the poolside. They have the Azela, or whatever it is, festival, where Kakeru and Naho are on their own. But there are some differences in the story. A few I didn't mind. They cut out a lot of the stuff with Ueda Senpai. She does, go up to Kakeru when he's out on the soccer field and hook up with him. There's that whole aspect of he sends the note to Naho, should I ask her out? Should I go out with her? Agree to go out with her? She sends the note back, puts it in his locker saying no, but he doesn't get it until too late, and this really sends Naho home crying about not being able to undo this one regret. And of course, once he finds out that Naho doesn't really want that to happen, he backpedals. And the only moment they really carry over from the story, and I don't know, not having read the manga, if, there's much more in-depth stuff as they carried over in the anime, but the one thing that they leave in is when they're going to have that, meeting by the poolside to watch the fireworks, and Ueda and her friends get in Naho's way and make her carry all the boxes up to, the year 2 classroom or whatever it is, storage, and you basically have Azusa and Takako coming in and helping her out, as they did in the anime. One of the sort of largest changes was the fact, though, that the letters that are received from the future, there are only 2 characters in the movie that get them, Naho and Suwa, rather than all of them. And it's really Hagita who is like an unsung hero, even to myself. I really didn't give him high praise enough, his anime adaptation version, because he really was a hero behind the scenes. Suwa is the guy who's out front doing all the self-sacrifice and garnering all the praise. But Hagita was trying every step of the way in the anime as well, even going to the effect, for those who have seen the anime, spoiler warning for the ending, but, it was Hagita's being responsible for sabotaging Kakeru's bike so he couldn't ride it in the end when they were all out looking for him, and he was, basically in the original history, doomed to run out in front of that truck and all that kind of stuff. It was Hagita being solely responsible for making sure that didn't happen. And it's very much Hagita who is the voice of reason, in the sense in the movie, to say, well, I don't know if these letters really could have come from the future. I don't know whether to believe that or not, but I'll believe in Suwa and Naho. They're my friends, and I believe their convictions, and so he's kind of the deciding factor for that. But as I say, neither he Azusa or Takako get letters from the future, even though they are all present in the future segments. They do still have the future segments where they went to talk to Kakaru's grandmother, and they were all involved, and they all cried over the regrets of losing Kakaru. And so it was kind of a surprise to me that they eschewed that aspect. They could have just said in a couple of lines that they all got letters, and not much of the movie would have had to have changed. But dialing back things like Ueda basically takes out the reasoning for really having to delve into why Azusa and Takako would be so involved and be going after her and trying to get in her way anytime, you know, Naho is under her eagle eye and lethal stare and all that kind of stuff. So I guess it makes kind of sense to truncate that aspect of it. But again, not much really would have had to have changed in the movie, in the live-action adaptation, to have said that they all got letters rather than just dialing it back to Suwa and Naho. Another big difference in the movie that I absolutely fell in love with was how the letters are transported back to the past. When the movie begins, Naho is on her way to school and she's just sort of fancifully looking at the cherry blossoms blooming and the petals are floating off the trees and things like that. And she happens to look down after there's this like whimsical sound effect, and she finds the letter in her purse, in her, her satchel bag, whatever you want to call it. And, this is what really starts the ball rolling. And in the future segments, we find that Suwa is the one who broached the idea to the elder Naho, the 10 years hence Naho, do you want to write a letter? After they've gone and visited Kakaru's grandmother, and they decide to go to where the cherry blossoms are, because there is this mystical, magical idea of leaving them to the cherry blossoms, and when they bloom and when the wind, the breeze takes the petals away, they will transport those letters to the past. And this, in effect, in the live-action movie is how that is brought about, rather than in the anime adaptation going into that really high science fiction-y explanation that I kind of wish was left much more vague than it actually is. In the second to last episode, they really bang you over the head with, oh, there's places in the world like the Bermuda Triangle with black holes, and maybe we could send letters back that way. There's less of a magical, fanatical, fantasy-esque vibe that comes across when you have to really hunker down and say explicitly, this is how it happened. The movie gets it right. The movie manages to do it in a magical, mystical way that is a romantic aspect of looking at it. It's very much those rose-colored glasses come into effect, manifest. And some of the other things that were just little differences here and there, they don't actually reach Valentine's Day, or at least if they do, it's not explicitly stated. There isn't that whole aspect of Naho making and trying to give Kakaru the chocolate and running into Ueda Senpai. As I say, Ueda Senpai is largely taken out most of that stuff in the movie. And they end up leading up to basically that last night. Kakaru does find a message from his mother on a mobile device, only in the movie it's a video that she recorded just before going to her penultimate death. Which one down note I'll give about the movie is when they bring that up for the first time, that she killed herself, they actually have to show a scene where she's like driven her car out to a lakeside and there's pills and paraphernalia all around her car, very melodramatically, and you see her like, presumably passed out or dead behind the wheel of her car, and it's like, it was really largely unnecessary to have done that. But the video that he plays back is almost verbatim all of the dialogue you hear in the anime that he had gotten on the message that was actually, a drafted message she never sent. And it is so emotional. Again, the casting of the film just comes to the fore as being the absolute highlight. You have Tao Tsuchiya, I think is how it's pronounced, as Naho, Kento Yamazaki as Kakaru, as his mother. You have Yoko Moriguchi, and they just bring out the tears. It's like, have the handkerchiefs at the ready, have the eye wipes at the ready, because I was thoroughly misty-eyed. I was thoroughly drawn in by the emotion of his finding that message from his mother, leading him, once again, it was the catalyst to lead him out and about. And in this, this live-action movie version, because of dialing back Takako and Azusa and Hagita's characters, they don't have that carryover of Hagita messing with his bike. He is still out on his bike in this, sort of new world history, if you will. Only when he's about to, hit the oncoming truck, in this film version, he's remembering back all of his great fond experiences with his newfound friends, Suwa and, Naho and all of that. And at the last second, rather than driving into the way of the vehicle, he jumps off and leaps off his bike to the side and at that last second so he doesn't get hit. And you still have that same emotional segment where they've all been looking for him, they all catch up to him, and he's down on the ground and they're all shedding tears, they're all crying, they're all professing they don't want to lose him and that they love him and he loves them and he's so grateful for their friendship and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it just really had the tears pouring all over again. I've already seen the story, I've already experienced it, but the performances of these actors really put it over the top to experience that all over again. It was slightly different too, which was a help. That, not everything was exactly the same. One of the things I wish they would have kept in, though, like little moments here and there are changed and altered, the perspectives of them a little bit here and there, as well as just taken out entirely. And one of the aspects I wish they hadn't taken out was that little exchange when they had the track meet where Kakaru and Naho exchanged their red, headbands that marked what team they were representing. And they took that out entirely. You didn't get that exchange after the fact where he's like, can I keep yours, the one you gave me, as a good luck charm and all that stuff. Little things like that. The whole aspect of him giving her a hairpin, that was taken out, although she is seen wearing a hairpin looking very much like the one from the anime, but it's never said that he gave it to her. He just compliments her on looking kawaii, looking cute during the festival while she is wearing it. And so again, all of that stuff with Ueda and, Hagita and Azusa and Takako, it's all dialed back. But I guess you could say it services the story. A lot of it wasn't necessary to bring them all, to the culmination, to the fruition. But it was still resounding. Again, Tao Tsuchiya as Naho, Kento Yamazaki as Kakaru, Ryo Ryusei as Suwa. Suwa, again, best boy in the movie as well. You don't get as much of a sense of what he's sacrificing, but knowing that future is there where he and Naho are married, there is some dialogue as he calls back to his letters. You don't see him having, photos from the future as you do in the anime. But you do get some vague sense that he is giving something up. And it does make him sympathetic, but not as sympathetic as he comes across in the anime. You also have Hirona Yamazaki as Takako, Dori Sakurada as Hagita, and he looks the spitting image of Hagita. Like, he is Hagita incarnate in this movie, as well as Karumi Shimizu as Azusa. And my applauds and accolades to all of them for just making these characters come to life in live action, especially as someone who has not read the manga but has experienced the anime. There are some aspects of the film that I feel like I wish they would have kept certain things that they did put into the anime in the film. And then there are certain things that the film completely cut out that, the anime probably could have cut out as well. Very much in line with my thinking, talking about it in my finale episode discussion video, that they probably could have edited things down and like altered things here and there, like little things. But both adaptations really work, are really well done. And again, I highly recommend, especially for those who watched the anime and had any sort of qualms or being upset with Naho and the choices she made. There's that whole aspect of when she knows, because her future self has told her through the letter, that they were talking to Kakaru's grandmother when, it's basically his worry that she's becoming ill and he's worried he's going to lose her. That entire exchange where in the anime I saw people really harping on Naho for being an idiot, being a buffoon and stupid, the way she handled it. In the film, watch the scene from the film because it's done in a much more natural, understandable way, not all that different from the way the anime adapts it, but it's not as embellished as the anime puts forth, and you can really see where Naho's coming from. And you can equally see where Kakaru's coming from. You still kind of feel like he's being an ass, being so upset, but there's something much more, translatable and relatable in the live-action adaptation as opposed to the anime that I think will make it much easier for people to wrap their minds around why these characters are doing, what their motivations are, what kind of people they are. And so yeah, I can't give the movie high praise enough. While it is a lengthy watch, it managed to capture the majority of the things that mattered to the story. Little things here and there they cut out or changed up, as I say, some for better, some for worse, but it's really subjective. It's down to your own personal tastes, and it's still a valuable watch in the end, and that's really all you can ask of it. So otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below if you've seen the film, what you thought of it, if you agree with my estimations on it, if you liked it better than the anime, love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below, or if you'll be checking it out based on this recommendation, although I spoiled some of it for you. And otherwise, yeah, I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.